Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is another special episode of, well, getting to know you with Mitch Hart. We've had him in here once, and that went gangbusters. I know he's getting a lot more busy, especially lately as the holidays are coming. Everybody, Mitch, looking to kind of cook off some of the food that they're putting into their systems. Appreciate you sitting down with us once again. This is all brought to you by our friends at Ahtletix, where you can get the best training with my good friend, Mr. Mitchell Hart. Mitch, this time of year for a lot of people, they're looking to kind of equal out things, right? The intake and the output need to kind of match up. For you, what do you tell people this time of year when people are casually asking you, hey, what can I do to kind of keep the cookies off of my belly?
Well, it's going to sound really simple and probably a little bit repetitive, but you've got to stay consistent with what you've been doing before the holiday season came around. So a lot of people, they'll get into a routine, especially in the summertime. They're feeling good. It's nice outside. They might run a little bit more or something. But then the holidays come around. We get busy. You got to go cut your tree down. You got to set up lights. You got to go, and you're always at the grocery store getting food for whoever's house you're going to. And then you kind of fall out of that routine a little bit. And then people also fall into, it's real easy to go, I'll wait till the new year. I'll wait till, that's my favorite thing. So what? You'll just take a whole month off and then wonder why you gain 10 pounds. So I just tell people, just keep the ball rolling. Like, once you've got some momentum going, don't stop. Don't ever stop.
New year, new you. That's got to make you almost throw up.
Yeah, it does, because, and I always laugh whenever if the new year is a Monday, because that's the most that is the most, everyone wants to wait till a Monday to start, and it wants to wait to the start of the month or the start of the year. So that's always something that it does get to me a little bit, but like, and that can be a good way to get some momentum going. Like, if that really helps you, like that New Year's resolution thing, but you gotta last longer than February or March, though. That's a thing. So just don't try to put so much weight on that new year, new me, and just understand that there's no finish line to fitness. There is none. So just once you start, don't stop. Even if you tailor your program to be a little less intense during certain times of the year, if you are getting a little run down, but just keep the ball rolling. Keep the ball rolling.
There's a lot of people that'll come in the new year, new you, new me, whatever, and they're going to buy a 3-year gym membership because most places are going to try to get you locked in
Oh yeah.
for longer. For you, what do you tell people when they want to create a new version of themselves? Do you tell them, hey, take it month by month? Do you take is it different for everybody? What do you tell people?
Here's what I tell people. I say, if you want permanent change, you have to change permanently. That is what I try to find, like, little sayings that stick, and that's one that I always go back to, because one of my favorite things this time of year is people will do one of those 24-day challenges or 30-day challenges, and they'll get all these fiber shakes and powdered drinks and supplements, and then those little 30-day challenge programs will also maybe give you a diet plan, right? And so they'll follow all this, they'll lose all this weight, and they're like, oh, great, I lost my weight. Now I get to go back to doing what I was doing before. And they'll credit the fiber shakes and the supplements, but they won't credit the fact that they would stop going to McDonald's every day. So if you want permanent change, you have to change permanently. And a lot of people don't like hearing that, but that's the truth. If you start eating healthy and exercising more, and you start making progress, if you stop doing that, you'll revert back to where you were. So you have to find something sustainable. So the best exercise and diet plan on the planet is the one that you can stick to and you enjoy and you adhere to it, and you can do it consistently without resenting it and all that stuff, right? So find the types of exercise that you enjoy. Not everybody likes to run. Start lifting weights. Maybe you like doing, maybe you like going to some type of group class, or you like doing just playing one-on-one basketball with your buddies or something like that. Whatever it is that you like, figure out a way to do it consistently, and then find a style of eating. There's so many different ways to eat that are going to get you to your goal. People like keto. People like vegetarian. People like, the new carnivore thing. People like, low carbs, high fats, whatever it is. Find what you like. Find the healthy foods that you enjoy to eat. Don't force yourself to eat broccoli if you hate it, right? Find the foods you like to eat and stick to them. Lean into the things. Eat the low-hanging fruit. Don't
Yep.
try to make yourself miserable because you won't stick to it.
I think one of the biggest things for me is most people will talk about training, and especially because we are YSN, we are run by athletes and student athletes and coaches. When is a good time, if there is one, to start training your son, your daughter, or someone you look after for sports or just for life? I guess for better. You talked about diet, you talked about supplements, you talked about all that stuff. Just general training and well-being. When's the best time to get involved?
I always say as soon as possible. So there was an old saying back in the day, especially when I was even coming up through all this. They used to think if kids lifted weights, it would stunt their growth because the epiphyseal plates on the end of the bones aren't totally formed yet. So if you start to stress them, they might not reach their true growth potential, was the old saying.
Growth plates and stuff like that.
Yeah. So they're talking about that kind of stuff. And the thing is that you're not, if a 5-year-old kid's in a weight room, how much weight is a 5-year-old realistically going to be able to
Tell
lift?
my kid he can't lift something and see what happens.
Exactly. So if I'm lifting weights with a 5-year-old kid, they might work up to, tops, like maybe a 15-pound dumbbell or something for most things. And that's like a full body, like a squat or something. I might have them hold a little weight. That is not enough stress to stress the bones to not grow. So how is it any different than a kid at recess swinging on the swings and jumping off and landing on their feet? That's way more stress than they'll ever get in a weight room. So that's kind of an old way of thinking, is like, oh, you're going to stunt your kid's growth. So that's been disproven several times over the years. So I tell people, get your kid in as soon as you can. It's just like any sport. Like, man, I wish I would have played that sport. Wrestling's a big one. I wish I would have wrestled when I was 5 years old instead of waiting until high school, because look at the development you get from those kids who started young. It's no different than any other sport. You can get kids in the weight room as soon as I don't really look at age. I look at development of just general physical skills. So like if your kid's able to walk around, run, jump, not just fall over all the time, like if they're physically developed enough to handle themselves maturely in a weight room, there's no reason why they can't start lifting weights.
There's kind of I don't know, people think, hey, my kid is too young because, he's still learning the game. She's still learning the game. And, I can't develop that. I'm not going to put X amount of dollars into this. It's more than just basketball or wrestling or baseball or softball or whatever training. You're training the muscles so they can be better athletes and just better, more healthy along the way, right?
Exactly. So for most people, unless you're gifted, after high school, sports are over. Weightlifting or like the gym, it never goes away. You can be in the gym the rest of your life. So at the very worst, at the very least amount of benefit, you're at least going to develop a habit that you can do forever. So the earlier you start, and a lot of science will prove this as well, but the earlier you start anything, the more likely it is to become a habit throughout the rest of your life. So, the studies will show that the earlier people start to exercise, like if they see kids start going to gyms on a regular basis, maybe their dad takes them with them or whatever. Like my dad took me to the YMCA ever since I was a kid. Now I do it for a living, whether he wanted to get me into lifting or not, maybe we didn't have childcare and I had to go with him. But whatever it is, the studies show that the earlier you start getting into a gym routine, the more likely you are to have it as a lifelong habit. So at the very least, you'll develop that.
Yep.
But not only that, we were having a conversation before we got on the air here is with especially young kids. When you watch a T-ball game or a little league, like a little pee-wee football game, the most common thing you're going to see in really young youth athletes is they're all kind of awkward when they run, or they're kind of awkward when they change directions, or they're always stumbling and tripping and falling. They've got that awkward coordination to them still because they're not developed yet, right? Weightlifting for a kid that age is going to increase what's called like motor unit recruitment or motor unit synergy, or the ability for the muscles and the nervous system to work together as an efficient machine. So when you start lifting weights with a kid, they're not going to just blow up and get real stiff and muscular and like bulky and slow and bogged down. That's the last thing that's going to happen to a kid. What's going to happen first, the first response to resistance training, is that you're going to start seeing coordination improve. So because their muscles are pushing against resistance in a controlled environment, they're going to have a better capacity to handle movement in an uncontrolled environment. So which would be a sports field, right? Mm-hmm. So the gym is controlled, the sports field is uncontrolled, but if you practice certain movement patterns in a controlled manner, you're going to be better equipped to handle uncontrolled movement in terms of reaction to a ball on the sports field. So that's the main reason why kids should lift weights. It's not to get them bigger. They're not going to start getting bigger until their hormones start coming through, like after puberty and stuff like that. You can't just have a jacked 6-year-old, right?
Oh, wait a minute.
We can. We've seen them. Maybe you're mixing whey protein into the baby formula or something. But other than that, no. I mean that's the main reason why kids should start to lift weights, is so that they can push past that awkward coordination stage and fast track their ability to have those really athletic skill sets that you start to see once you get into like later middle school or early high school.
There's no 6-year-olds out there like Lou Ferrigno and Pumping Iron. Arnold.
There might be. I've seen some on the internet, but you never know on the internet.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. Like to do this, weekly, monthly, whatever it is. What's one workout that you'd like to see more people average, athletic ability doing that makes a big impact on them?
Deadlifts. Nobody deadlifts. Everybody is afraid that they're going to hurt their back, right? Everyone's like, well, I don't want to deadlift because you can hurt your back doing that, or I don't need to deadlift. I'm not a power lifter. Well, then tell me why your back hurt after you rearranged your living room. What's that? That's a deadlift. You bend over, you grab the bottom of your couch, you stand up with it, and you move it around.
Pivot.
And then people are. You shouldn't be out for the count just because you rearranged your living room, especially if you're only in your 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s. To me, that's still young. Like, you should be able to be physically independent and physically efficient well into your 60s. So, like, to me, like, we talk about functional training a lot, and it's kind of like people go, what's functional? Like, isn't everything functional? Well, everything is functional. But to me, there's nothing more functional than a deadlift, because no matter what you're doing, like, every day you're going to have to bend over and pick something up. Every day. Now, I'm also a huge believer in squats, but I know a lot of people do some type of variation of a squat, but nobody's deadlifting anymore. Nobody. And I think everybody should. Start light. I'm not saying you got to try to hit a big world record or anything.
No PRs first time out.
No PRs, but you can load a little bit of weight up, and if you're a grown adult, you could start with just 100 pounds. That sounds heavy, but
Listen,
it's really not.
Real talk. Dumbbell deadlifts to me are money.
That's fine.
I love them.
Yeah, anything. Just anything where you're practicing. Remember, just like I was talking about with youth training, adults can benefit from this too. Take advantage of the controlled environment in a gym, and all you're doing in a gym is practicing movement. And then over the course of time, you increase the weight maybe by 5 pounds a week, and you do that for 5 weeks, and you've gone up 25 pounds. Yep. So that's what you want to look at whenever you're going into the gym, is I'm practicing movements. When I'm squatting, I'm practicing sitting down and standing back up. We do that all the time. When I'm deadlifting, I'm practicing bending over, picking something up off the floor. The better you get at it, the less chance you're going to have of getting hurt when you just go to help your buddy move into his house. Like, that should not be a hard thing to do, right?
No.
So as adults, as human beings, we are very physically durable and capable creatures until we get too comfortable, right? So when we start leaning into the couch and just hanging around and not ever stressing our bodies at all, we become kind of pathetic, really. But if we stay somewhat fit. Again, I'm not
Yep.
saying you got to be a competitive weightlifter, but if you go to the gym twice a week and you just pick something up and put it down a couple times, you'll be amazed. It's very easy to become, for lack of a better term, a superhero. And now, like in today's society,
Yep.
I mean, because so many people are. And I'm not even talking about just being overweight because we know that's a problem, but so many people are just not strong.
Yeah.
Like they're just weak. And so, lifting weights, practicing those movements, if you take someone who lifts weights twice a week, they're probably going to be stronger and more fit than 90% of the country, which is insane. So that's so easy.
Yeah.
That's such an easy thing to do. And that's my biggest thing is it's not as hard as people think. You don't have to put so much pressure on yourself to perform in the gym because you're in there for you, not for anybody
That's right.
else. Put a little bit of weight on the bar. If it hurts, you got too much weight on a bar. Nothing should hurt, right? Everything should feel good. You know, when you take your car to the mechanic, it comes out better, right?
Yep.
At least it's supposed to. Anyways, but it's the same thing. It's like the body shop. The gym's like the body shop. Go in, take care of your body, make it feel good. You should walk out better. And if you do that at least twice a week, understand that you're going to be more physically capable than 90% of your peers.
Win the week. All right, Mitch. We know you're here at Ahtletix. How else can people get a hold of you?
They can find me on my Instagram, which is Mitchell_Hart08. I'm constantly posting videos on there, just like little clips of the types of exercises I'm running my clients through. So if anyone ever was inquiring about personal training, but you don't really know what you're getting into, hop on my Instagram, scroll through. I got tons of videos, hundreds of videos on there of all the different types of exercises I'm doing. And occasionally I'll do little how-to videos, like if we get a new piece of equipment or if I am seeing a lot of people in the gym struggling with a particular exercise, I'll do a how-to video to kind of correct some of those. I try to be as educational as I can, try to provide people with some free value. So definitely hop on there. Other than that, I'm in athletics pretty much all the time. So you can stop in here anytime. I'd be more than willing to help you with any questions you have.
Very modest human being over here, but I will tell you, personal experience, his schedule is filling up. And if you want one of the guys that's going to get it done and cares about you or your kid or whoever it is that he's training, you need to contact Mitch Hart, one of my good friends. That's going to do it. Mitch, thank you.
Well, thanks for having me on, DJ.